Hey everybody, I'm Matt McMann. Welcome to my little closet library. Today we're going to talk classic middle grade fantasy series. I'm going to recommend 3 very different types of fantasy series, all that have stood the test of time, and I'm guessing that at least one of them will be a hit with you or the middle grade fantasy fan in your life. Here we go. Number 1, Redwall by Brian Jacques. The peace-loving mice of Redwall Abbey faithfully care for the animals of the surrounding woodlands. When an evil pirate rat named Clooney the Scourge shows up with his battle-hardened army, he decides he's going to take over the abbey and rule the woodlands with an iron fist. The forest animals rally to the abbey's defense, but they're woefully unprepared for this kind of fighting. Things are looking grim until a bumbling young mouse named Matthias goes on a hunt for a legendary sword in a last-ditch effort to save his beloved abbey. With a ragtag band of allies, Matthias overcomes ever more difficult obstacles and goes on to become the unlikeliest of heroes. I first discovered Redwall in college and was immediately swept up in the fable-like fantasy adventure. With colorful animal characters, a forest setting, a legendary lost sword, climactic battles, high-stakes adventure, and a lovable main character who goes through a believable growth arc. What's not to like? Brian Jacques creates such a wonderful world that's so fun to get lost in. And he's got a great middle grade writing style that's really descriptive without bogging down the action. Published in 1986, Redwall is the first of 22 books in the series that ended with the Rogue Crew in 2012. The series sold over 20 million copies and spawned an animated TV series that ran for 2 seasons starting in 1999. Lovable animal characters, great adventure, and an unlikely bumbling hero make the Redwall series a great pick for fans of classic middle grade fantasy. Number 2. What the heck was that? Number 2, The House with a Clock in Its Walls by John Bellairs. After the death of his parents, 10-year-old Louis moves to a small town to live with his colorful Uncle Jonathan. The fact that Jonathan lives in a fabulously creepy mansion helps distract Louis from this difficult time of transition. Louis soon discovers there's more to the house and his Uncle Jonathan than he ever realized. Uncle Jonathan turns out to be a wizard, and the mysterious ticking sound that Louis hears in the night is from a doomsday clock hidden in the walls of the house by an evil sorcerer who used to own the place. Louis must help his Uncle Jonathan find and destroy the clock before it counts down and destroys the world. This was one of my all-time favorite books as a kid. It's got that perfect balance between spooky but yet not too scary. There's magic, there's mystery, there's quirky characters, there's humor, and there's a lot of heart. The mysterious, creepy mansion setting was a place that I wanted desperately to explore when I was a kid. Louis is such a great protagonist because he's so relatable. He's just an ordinary kid with no special abilities, trying to find his way through a really difficult time. He's kind of an outcast, and I found myself really rooting for Louis. Bellairs has a simple, easy-to-read writing style that somehow still conveys real atmosphere and paints vivid pictures. The plot builds to a genuinely suspenseful climax and has a really satisfying conclusion. First published in 1973, The House with a Clock in Its Walls is the first book in a trilogy, and all 3 books are wonderful. The original edition that I have features incredible pen and ink artwork by the celebrated artist Edward Gorey. It was made into a movie in 2018 starring Jack Black and Cate Blanchett. It was fun, but as you'd expect, it didn't hold a candle to the books. A magic-laced mystery, a fantastic creepy mansion setting, and a relatable orphan hero all make A House with a Clock in Its Walls a fantastic series for middle grade fantasy fans. Published over 60 books in all different genres. Number 3, A Wizard of Earthsea by Ursula K. Le Guin. Ged is a poor, lonely boy longing to escape his mundane life. An unexpected apprenticeship with his remote island's mage leads to acceptance at the greatest magic school in all of Earthsea. Eager to prove himself, Ged excels in his studies at his new school, but then falls victim to his own arrogance and unleashes a horror upon the world. Forced to flee for his life, he makes difficult journeys all across the islands of Earthsea, always pursued by a deadly shadow. Realizing he can no longer run from his fate, Ged becomes the hunter and tries to atone for his mistakes. He masters the words of power, battles an ancient dragon, and comes face to face with his deadly shadow enemy at the edge of the world. It's there he learns a terrible secret that will either save or destroy him. The Earthsea trilogy was the series that got me hooked on fantasy. My sister gave me the box set as a gift when I was 13, and I devoured it. The Earthsea trilogy has all the classic trappings of high fantasy. Wizards, magic, dragons, a new world, epic quests. But the magic in the story has a really grounded feel. It's kind of like the original Star Wars movie, brought a lived-in, weathered dynamic to science fiction. Ursula K. Le Guin brings that same kind of dimension to her fantasy world of Earthsea. Ged is a wonderfully flawed protagonist. He comes from this difficult childhood of neglect and poverty all the way to this amazing magic school, but he's unprepared for the change and he makes a lot of mistakes that have devastating consequences. Over the course of the original trilogy, we see Ged both run from and atone for his mistakes. His difficult outward journey throughout the islands of Earthsea mirrors his challenging inward journey that leads him to a discovery of his true self. It's engaging, powerful stuff. First published in 1968, the Earthsea trilogy has been compared to Tolkien's Lord of the Rings and to the Narnia series by C.S. Lewis. In her lifetime, Ursula K. Le Guin published over 60 books in all kinds of genres. She received the National Book Award, 6 Hugo Awards, and 5 Nebula Awards. A grounded high fantasy adventure, a flawed protagonist, and an evocative writing style combined to make the Earthsea series a fantastic pick for fans of classic middle grade fantasy. First published in 1968, the Earthsea trilogy. Dang it. Thanks so much for watching. I would love to hear about your favorite classic middle grade fantasy series in the comments section below. If you like this video, it would really help me out if you click the like, the subscribe, and the bell button below, and even share it with a friend. I post videos once a week on book recommendations, writing advice, and personal development. Until next time, read well.